In this video, I'm going to teach you as a mentalist how to take your mentalism to the next level by incorporating the incredible magic techniques that you already know. But there's a very fine line and it is very difficult to do properly. Stick around to the end of this video because you do not want to miss some of the methods that I'm going to talk to you guys about in this video. What is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to another video. Today we got Mentalism 101 episode 12. So excited to bring this series back with a bang. We are going to be talking about incorporating your magical methods into mentalism. This Mentalism 101 series is about taking either a beginner mentalist or a completely non-mentalist, particularly a card magician, and transforming you into an incredible mentalist step by step, learning all the fundamentals and the basics. And that is no different with today's episode. If you've been following along so far, we've learned some methods, we've learned some theory, we've started to develop our character and our process. But what do we do with all this magic knowledge that we already have? Can we use it for our mentalism? How do we use it? That is what we're going to talk about today. So grab your cards because we are going to be using that, and get ready to learn some incredible techniques and theory behind incorporating magic into your mentalism. If you guys would like to be featured in the upcoming Q&A, make sure you drop your questions down in the comments so that I can respond to all of those. If you'd like to check out some private lessons, you can at the link in the description. And if you'd like to learn some of the best mentalism content on YouTube, it's right here on the channel. You can join right here, my mentalism membership, or at the link in the description. And with all that said, let's jump right into the video. So this video is going to be about incorporating your magical techniques into mentalism. It's not going to be so much about the interaction between magic and mentalism, because that deserves its whole other video, and I will be making a video on that because the interaction between the two is very unique. How to balance them, there's a very careful balance. This will be more for you as the mentalist to learn how to take these techniques you already have from magic, card magic, whatever else, and incorporate them into mentalism. It'll take you from here, knowing nothing, all the way to, an intermediate level by the snap of the fingers, just by shifting the context of stuff you already know. No practice, nothing like that. You already know these things and you can go do them right now in your mentalism. This is about taking those things you're comfortable with already and just changing the frame around them and making them feel different, giving them a new life in mentalism. This is great because it'll just help you get your foot in the door in mentalism. If you've never performed a piece of mentalism, you can today, you can right now after watching this video, with just some of the card magic moves that you already know, some very basic stuff. It's just about changing the frame, making the effect feel different to your audience. I also want to talk to you guys about how to use specifically playing cards in mentalism. So not just using card techniques, but using cards in mentalism as a sort of vessel for mentalism, because that, again, it's a bit of a fine line, but there's a way to do it and do it well. So why is all of this important to us? Well, really, you want to get the most out of both of them, right? You have all these skills from your magic, your card magic you've been practicing for years. Now you want to transition into mentalism, or you're a mentalist and you want to learn a few simple card moves that'll help elevate your mentalism. This is so crucial because separate, they're great, but together, they're incredible, all right? When you can find that balance, it's an incredible, achievement and an incredible skill to have. It's about learning when to perform which, when's the right environment, what's the right people, how to structure and routine everything. That is all so key when it comes to kind of mixing these things together. The best part for me is you can take these card magic things that you already know and you can apply them to mentalism right now and be super comfortable because you're just doing moves that you already have mastered, right? You're just changing the presentation, and now you can go try out mentalism. Just dip your feet in the water, see how it is, see if you like it without really having to put in extra work, right? It'll give you that taste that you need. It'll light that fire in you and see if you like it. And it'll give you that instant confidence to go out there and perform and try it, right? Because you have this safety net. It'll also allow you to, get familiar with these mentalism presentations, right? Start working on presentations. You don't need to know any methods. You can just use card magic methods, but start, practicing premises and coming up with ideas and scripts, which is a whole amazing thing in mentalism, right? Card magic is such a safety net for so many of us because it's what we're comfortable with. So now you can go out and practice maybe even more risky mentalism techniques, but you'll always have the safety net of the card moves if you need to resort. It's the out. You can save yourself. There's nothing to worry about when you have an out. And now one of the key things I want to stress in this video is you got to be careful. You don't want one to take away from the other. I'm going to make a whole other video on this topic because it does deserve its own kind of the balance of mentalism, I call it. So mentalism is super unique because it's the one form of magic that we still have that is still kind of viewed as real today. There's a huge percentage of people who will still question whether what you did when you did mind reading, if it's real. People don't really know. Like, there's validity, scientific validity to body language techniques and psychology and influence. Like, those things have some elements of realism. People are in a real gray area as to if it's real. Whereas card magic, on the other hand, like 99% of the time people understand it's just sleight of hand. And so, you know, people can suspend their disbelief in the moment, but they won't leave feeling like they just saw real magic, where they might with mind reading. So there's a very fine line when you're doing both of them. And that's why you hear so many mentalists who don't perform with playing cards, which personally I think is unfortunate, because I think playing cards and mentalism combined is, you know, whether you're doing them completely separately but you're still doing both, or you're combining them and kind of using the cards as a vessel, it's the most beautiful form of all of magic, playing cards and mentalism, in my opinion. It's a shame that some people are so avoidant of it, but it is a really tricky balance. And I've spent a ton of time in my life, a bunch of my work is solely dedicated to figuring out how to get these two to mesh together perfectly. So now let's talk about how to do it. Let's talk about some methods here. So the first thing I want to talk about is how a stack of billets is the exact same as a deck of cards. Anything you can do with a deck of cards, a double lift, right? Double lift, okay? You can easily do with a stack of billets, right? You take the card like this, you can flip it over, show that, flip it over, boom, and switch, right? So you need to just think of the context shift. Anything that you can do with cards, you can do with billets. You can even buy a blank deck of cards so that you really have the exact same thing in your hand. You can do forces, right? You could have a bunch of words written down and you can force them with the billets. You can use any force that you want, right? You can literally do anything. You can use the riffle force, right? You can do anything. It's all the same. And that's the key here. Use the techniques that you already know. So what are some of the ways we can use these techniques? So I want to talk about a couple of peaks that I've talked about earlier in the peaks episode of this, but I want you to just understand the context that these are just card magic moves. So we have the bottom peak, where the spectator will have the peaked information set on the top of the deck, and you just shuffle it and lose it in the middle, and then as you hand them the cards, you peak it on the bottom of the deck, and all you do there is you milk shuffle the card to the bottom. Well, this is a very simple peak, but it's a card magic move, right? It's the first move so many of us learn. Just a simple retention shuffle of a single card, and the milk shuffle, right? Where you're just keeping it on the bottom there. Now that you can do that, right? You can do it with a deck of cards. You can do it with your 9 of clubs. You can keep it on the bottom of the deck, right? You can do that same thing with your stack of billets. And now you can read minds. You don't need to do anything, right? You hand a spectator a billet. You have them think of a name, and they write it down. You tell them throw it on here. You say I'm going to shuffle it up a bit, and now here I want you to hold on to the stack, and as you move away you peek it and you set it in their hand and they hold on to it, and now you can develop whatever presentation you want, right? You are now a mentalist. You can do whatever it is you need to do, and you can perform a really impactful reading. Now, there's a ton of subtlety that can go into that simple routine to make it way more powerful. And we'll talk about more of that as this series continues, and we've talked about some of it already in the billet episode and the peaks episode. But again, I want to show you the context of this. We've also talked about the lever peak, which is the same thing. They take it down here, and then I give the cards a shuffle like this, and then I can show them their cards not on the bottom, it's not on top, and in that I get my peak. And so for that one, again, it's just a card magic move. What I'm doing is I'm taking the billet and I'm rotating the deck this way so the billet goes straight to the bottom, so I use my thumb to kick it over. The billet's now on the bottom, and I'm just going to perform a milk shuffle, keeping it on the bottom. Then I go, it's not on the bottom and it's not on top, and as I do that, I leverage it over and lift up and I peek it. Again, I've taught this in a lot of detail in the peaks video if you want to learn, but that is all just a card magic move. Ace of diamonds, okay, we'll put it face down on the bottom of the deck. So they would put their card down here, I'd go like this, I'd shuffle, and I'd say, look, your card's not on the bottom, it's not on top, and that's how I get the peak, right? This is all card magic stuff that should be very easy and accessible. Now, one switch that I haven't talked about on the channel, one of my favorite switches, the double lift switch. Right? Actually, I think I might have talked about it in my convolution video. If you want to learn an effect using that switch, you can go check that out there. Convolution's a great effect. But for this, you know, you have a break under a card, you look away, spectator writes their name down, you have them set it face up on top, and now you just turn over at the break, which is a double lift, and you have this card and you can perform a switch. Now you can peek this, they can put their hand on this while they think it's here. You know, you can peek their information, right? I talk about that a lot in detail in convolution, but again, card magic move. Top change, okay? Spectator writes their name down, okay? They hand it to you face down. You say, all right, so you have this billet here. I'm gonna set it down. I want you to put your hands on top of it. And in that, switched. I can get my peek now over here. Again, super simple stuff. I'm not going to talk about how you routine all of this, because of course there's a lot of importance that goes into the routining of all of this, but the actual methods, you can take pretty much any move you know from card magic and turn it into something useful for mentalism, right? Like you can take the most obscure thing, like a bottom deal. Like I don't even know, like I honestly have no idea. What would I do with a bottom deal? Okay, let's think. Well, here's a simple idea. They put their billet on top and you bottom deal and say, here, put your hand over that. And you just do a switch and you keep it. Like all these moves can be used. You could have some kind of plot where they set their card on top, you shuffle it to the bottom, it's mixed up, you start fair dealing and then they call stop. Then you say, okay, I stopped right here, and now you come and you bottom deal that card, and now the card with their information is wherever they said stop, and you could do a divination. Like there's so many ideas, you just have to get creative. I urge you, the main message, take your card magic moves and apply them to mentalism. Now if we put the billets to the side for a minute and we actually talk about using playing cards in mentalism, there's a lot that you can do here. One of the first things that I recommend all playing card magicians do as their first piece of mentalism is a simple playing card force or a peek, and then just do a reading, do a divination. So I like to do a force, so I'll do the spread force, which I've taught here if you want to learn it. So if I'm using the 2 of diamonds, you do a really clean force. So let's say I do the spread force. So they come here, they can touch stop here or here. Let's say they stop here, and I'll say remember that card, and now here, shuffle it in the middle, and my head's turned the whole time. That is extremely fair, right? Go through, they touch one, I show it to them, and then they shuffle right away. There's no way I could know that card. But since it was a force, of course you do. And now, you know, just get some emotion involved into it. Say, look, playing cards that people pick actually can sometimes tell us a lot about them. So I want you to focus on your card for me. Maybe you grab their hands and you say, okay, I want you to imagine there's a big canvas behind me. Imagine you see all the shapes, the lines, the colors of your card, and it starts to fill out and print, right? And just start to talk. You know, start to go on your presentation, write a little script for this and go through it, right? Actually think about what you're gonna say, evict a bit of emotion, and now you can reveal just verbally, just say you went for the 2 of diamonds, and I promise you that will get great reactions. It will. People will still react really good to this. You can also do a playing card reading. Peter Turner has a great system for using playing cards to give personal readings, right? So someone would pick a card, you're using a marked deck, and then you can see what card it is. So in this case, the 2 of clubs, and you can just tell them about themselves, you know? Say, look at the card, and then they keep their hands on it, and you say, you know, sometimes playing cards that we gravitate to, they tell us a lot about us, you know? For example, diamond tends to be people who really value riches and money, and hearts represent people who, you know, value love and friendship. Spades are the people who are a bit rough around the edges, but they have a good heart inside of them. You know, clubs are the people who they get lucky, right? And they have a really enriched life. And I feel you're that type of person. You know, you constantly get lucky. A lot of positive things are coming to your life. But I do think you have your struggles and you wonder about them. And I feel, honestly, if you just keep on the right track, your luck and your sort of duty, your path, your faith will guide you along in that. Now you also, I think, you know, there's different cards. The values represent different things. You have your face cards, which represent confidence in people, you know, really strong-minded people. You have sort of the higher cards that represent people who value high-value things. You have the middle of the pack cards, people who are a bit shy. Then you have those low-value cards, the laid-back people who are a little more relaxed and everyone gets along with. I think that's you. I think that's your type of person. You know, and just from the sense of it, I think you could have went for any card, but I think you went for the 2 of clubs, right? I just freestyled that, guys, okay? You know, do whatever you want, but, you know, Peter Turner has a system if you want to go check out his work on his playing card system, but it just gives you some stock lines to use based on the card they pick, and you can give someone a really powerful reading from playing cards. Another really easy thing to do is have someone think of a name and sign a card, right? Write the name on the card, and now do a signed card routine where you never see the face of the card. So something where they take the card, it'll be put back face down, you'll control it, right? You can maybe peek it at some point and then go into your routine. Maybe you do a routine where it's simple and you say, okay, name a number, and they say 5. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And and then you leave that there, and then you go into the reading and you say, I think, you could have thought of any name, but you thought of whatever name. You thought of the name Logan, right? You reveal that. And then you say, and look, and you stopped at any card, and of course you stopped at your card there. So you build in mentalism into the playing card routines. Use the sign card routine and have them write down a piece of information that you can now divine, right? You're incorporating the card magic. So now you just do a card effect, but you add an extra layer. Maybe you do a triumph. You have them think of a name, you take out a playing card, and you tell them to write that name on the card. They keep it face down. Now, whatever method you use, let's say you have a card reversed on the bottom, you come like this, and you say, look, I'm gonna mix the cards face up into face down. You shuffle them like this, and you say, I want you to take your card and leave it face down in the pack like that. And what you can do, you're gonna cut at the natural break, which will be the two back-to-back cards. So you go, look, we got cards back-to-back. As you do that, you kick over this card and get a break under it, and then you bring together, and you say, we got cards face to back, but this time you just peek their card. You don't go like this and show them. So you just say, we got cards face to face, or you go face to back, I would probably say. So I got cards face to back. I peek the name, throw this on top, and then you say, but look, all I gotta do is straighten it out, and all the cards fix themselves except for one. All right, all the cards fix themselves except for one card. And then you look at them, you do the reading, you guess the name, and then you have the finishing of the routine as the triumph, right? That's a great way to combine card magic and mentalism. That's actually a really nice, really great effect, right? You can do this with all your card magic effects. Just have them write a thought of piece of information on it, and go about peeking it and revealing it. Now there's a lot of things you can do with billets too that we can do with cards, right? You can do the classic force, the crosscut force. Have 50 different words written on these billets and have someone cut to a billet. And then you say, here, look at the billet you cut to, right? You do the crosscut force, they remember it, and now they mix it back in, and now you can divine the name that they just thought of. You could do a peek with a playing card peek. What about the bubble peek, right? They leave their card on top, we're gonna shuffle it, leaving it on top, and now I come like this, and look, boom, I bubble it, and I look down here, and I can read it. I can see it says read, right? Lots of different options, guys. Get creative, use your playing card methods. Now, the last thing I want to talk about a bit more is playing cards in mentalism, okay? So there is, card magic, pure card magic, nothing to do with mind reading. There is mentalism. Then there is mental magic, which is where your card magic has an aura of mental gymnastics to it, whether that's them thinking of something or thinking of a card or you trying to read them, or it has an element of mentalism in it, but it's still like card magic with mentalism undertones. Then there's something different, which is mentalism with playing cards, where it's a mentalism piece and the playing cards are one of the props, basically. And that is where there's a careful balance. And the way to do that properly, the ultimate rule is use the playing cards as the vessel for the mentalism, not the thing that's doing the magic. They're just the vessel for the mentalism. I wouldn't bring up the word magic, I would call it mentalism and use them as the vessel. Playing cards should not take away from the effect, right? They should enhance the effect. They're the messenger. They're just there along for the ride, right? That's how you have to think of it. Whatever you do with them, it can't feel like a card trick. It can't be pick a card, any card, right? Can't be, I'm gonna mix these face up and face down. If you're trying to do mentalism with, a deck of cards, it has to be more like, I want you to think of any one of these cards, or I want you to just reach out your finger. I'm gonna spread the cards on the table, and I want you to just feel, right? When you get a real strong sense, I want you to just let your finger drop to the table. Now it drops on a card, so now they've picked a card that way, right? I didn't say pick a card, but they picked it that way. And now maybe it's a marked deck and I just do a reading, or I read their mind what their card is, right? The playing cards are the vessel, they're an afterthought. You want to justify the playing cards, right? Why are they in play? You can justify them as a part of your process. I've talked all about creating your process, why it's so important and how it can help you justify anything. So maybe you say, look, playing cards are, for me, they help me read minds. They help me get into people's heads. I was a playing card magician when I was younger, and I'm a big fan of cards. I spent a lot of time with them, and they've actually unlocked my ability to read minds. So I like to use them, as the vessel here to help us guide us through this, right? Now you've justified them, and it makes sense why they're in play. They're not the magic, even though they might be, right? They might be the method, but they don't feel like the magic from the presentation. They're justified. You could justify them as just being a piece of paper or a billet. You could say, you know what, I don't have any paper on me, so here, just write the name you're thinking of on one of these cards with a lot of white space, and you just use them as a billet, right? That's a great justification. Another option is to just say they're like a connection tool. Say, look, cards help me tap in and help us connect. There's 4 suits like the seasons, 52 cards like the weeks in a year, whatever you want to say. And playing cards are a lot deeper than surface level, and they can actually help us connect to each other, right? Whatever you want to say. So finally, I want to give you guys an example of an effect that uses the playing cards as the vessel. It's my effect Mental Image. Really great effect. I would highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. But Mental Image, all you do is simply have them reach down, touch a card, you show them that card, and then the cards are out of play for the most part. And now you go into this whole script about how it'd be good if you found that card, but it'd be way better if they just created a card that only existed in their mind. Now you go into that, and now you have a prediction that also uses the playing cards. But again, the playing cards are the vessel for the prediction. You're just basically using the card to show them what your prediction is, to lock in your prediction, right? You don't have paper maybe to write it down, so you're gonna take out the card that they're thinking of, right? Playing cards are the vessel for the mind reading. They're not the main focus. They're not the thing that's doing the magic. If you guys want to learn an incredible trick that can help you use some of these principles and tie in playing cards into your mentalism in a really unique way, go check out this video right here. All right, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the Mentalism 101 series. Let me know what you thought. What move would you use from card magic in mentalism? Let me know. I'm very curious. If you guys like these videos, make sure you give it a like and share it. If you're interested in some private lessons, you can sign up for those at the link in the description. Or if you'd like to learn even more mentalism, you can check out my mentalism membership linked in the description. If you guys want your question featured in the next Q&A, make sure you drop some questions in the comments. And with all that said, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.